Welcome to the DTC Insider podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisenthal.
Real quick before we continue with the episode, let me tell you something. If you own or work for a DTC brand and you're not hitting your revenue and profitability goals, you're not alone. Things are getting harder, and what used to work doesn't anymore. That's why it's important to find a business-oriented partner that's focused on improving the levers that will change the game for your business. And believe me, it is possible. At BSR Digital, to give you an example, we have recently helped our clients generate between, listen well, 80 and 700K in extra monthly revenue. If you'd like to explore how we could do the same for you and your business, head on over to bsrdigital.com and book a call with us. Hey, welcome to another episode. Today, I'm excited to welcome Jonathan Ruley. He's the co-founder and CEO of Huega House, a brand that has quickly become a favorite among high-profile athletes and content creators. Hey, Jonathan, thanks for being here in the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat about my story and more about Huga.
Yeah, and my pleasure to have you here. So why don't we start there? Why don't you tell the audience more about you and the company?
So me personally, I was born in Southern California in Murrieta, right next to Temecula wine country. And when I was going into middle school, my family moved us to Idaho. So grew up in Idaho, went to school at Boise State, and then after graduation, worked for a year or two there, and then moved to San Diego. Then I lived in San Diego the last 5 years, did a couple jobs, Fortune 300 company, moved to a startup, and then ended up starting my own thing, Huega House.
Nice. What were those jobs about, if I may ask?
Yeah, so in Idaho, I was involved in real estate, more on the marketing side, but I did some residential, commercial, even some lending stuff. So that I had a strong background in real estate. So I was actually approached by a recruiter for a similar company, but in California, San Diego. And I ended up transitioning to a very similar role, but to a much larger company. So it was a no-brainer. I knew that I wanted to leave Boise. I was just ready for something bigger, something new, bigger job market. So I transitioned to San Diego. Yeah, Fortune 300 company. Did that for a while and then realized the corporate life just wasn't for me. It was too structured. I felt restricted. I couldn't be as creative as I knew I could be. So I started networking, I started freelancing, and then I met the founders of a startup that I ended up transitioning to, a company called Visor. And I started helping out, consulting a little bit, just kind of like a creative outlet. Fell in love with the company, the founders, the mission, and then I ended up taking a job there. So the company called Visor, still a startup, tech startup. I was the one of the first 5 employees, first marketing hire, and then I led the marketing department for the last 4 plus years, and then ended up quitting to pursue Huga House full time.
Nice. So I know you have achieved an impressive milestone of having high-profile athletes and content creators, particularly from the NFL, wearing your products organically. How do you manage to gain such notable advocates for Huga House?
Yeah, we've been very blessed and fortunate to have the exposure that we've had. It's been so fun to see it all come together. So Jake and I, my co-founder Jake Ryan, our strengths mesh very well, and they're very different, which has led to some of our success and the growth we've seen. Clearly I'm on the marketing side, a little more startup-y, and Jake has a strong passion for photography and fashion and just overall creative. He has the ability to predict like what's coming, what's going to be the next cool thing. And then he also played professional football, so he had a strong network of athletes, of course. And then on my side, along with my marketing strengths, I had a network of content creators. So the two of us coming together just meshed very well. So we started with gifting a bunch of content creators and then gifting a bunch of athletes and just seeing what would happen. At first, we don't have a lot of inventory. We don't have a lot of money, so gifting was kind of scary. The We were just like praying that every time we gift, hopefully they wear it or hopefully they share it on social because we need to see a return because it's so risky. We only have so much inventory on hand, and
Did you
we need
ask
to
for it?
convert.
Like, did you ask them to do that, or did you just give them the hats and prayed for them, right?
We Yeah, it would just be gifting, and we still do that today, is we just gift. We never require, unless it's a different type of
Yeah,
strategy where, it's a paid outreach or something like that.
right,
But for the most part, we typically never ask if we're gifting somebody,
right.
and we just try to build relationships with everybody we work with, whether it's content creators, athletes, or just other companies. We just gift, and we just want them to be fans of the brands, and we also just like to work with people who are fun, similar like us, and we try to do things less transactional or more relational. So as soon as you start adding in additional requirements like, hey, you have to post this, it starts to be more transactional. So we just went a different route and just tried to be friendly, gifting, no requirements. Let us know your thoughts. If anything, hey, would you mind leaving us a product review? And then we can start getting some product reviews, build up that page. But so we started with the people who we knew, content creators, athletes, and then we'd see, somebody post something here, somebody wear it here, and it slowly started to snowball. And then we started to be more strategic. We started reaching out to like agencies that rep athletes, agencies that rep content creators, so we can try to gift in bulk. It's like, okay, so we're starting to see this work. Now let's see how we can scale this into something bigger while keeping the same amount of exposure that we're getting. So we started working with the agencies. People were starting to like it, and the snowball started getting bigger and bigger. Then it was really nice because we started to build our connections with creators and athletes outside of who we already knew. And now, without sharing too much, now we have a lot of really fun things in the works with some of the people we connected with early on, some of the agencies we connected with early on, and it's developed into this really cool organic strategy.
That's cool. That's what I call choosing a partner right. I mean, choosing the right partner, saying it differently. Like it's really important. I mean, we always hear the thing that it's really important who you choose as a partner, as a business partner in this case. And it's no coincidence that uh, if the co-founder is a professional football player and you are getting in touch with these people, it's a easy way in, or at least into that world. That of course you guys knew how to manage it, gifting without asking for anything in return. It's really important. That's why I asked, because in this era of TikTok shops and many other type of collaborations, you know, it's important that brands many times, I know it hurts, especially as you're starting out, but you need to
Mhm.
ask without you need to give without asking anything in return, and that's probably the most fruitful collaborations, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have to keep in mind like the opportunity costs. Okay, if we gift this person one hat or we give this person five hats, what is the potential return or exposure that we think we could get. And so you have to kind of measure what makes sense, depending on inventory, brand goals, etc. And then just measure it that way. But yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of people, athletes, creators, friends that we've gifted that we haven't got exposure from, and that's just something that we learn, and we take notes and then adjust our gifting strategy. So it's not always a dream come true, but overall things have been going pretty well.
But I think that as you grow, you learn. I don't know if you measured that or not, but the rate of how many people uh do something with your gift, post it online or leave it a review or something like that. Out of those
Mhm.
that you sent the gift to, do you guys measure that rate? I don't know if it makes sense for you guys, but with these TikTok shop and again everything that's trending these days for many brands, um, it is said that like 20% or so, depending on the brand and on the product you sell, of creators that you send gifts to or product to are going to do something with that.
Yeah, and there's a few tools we have that help with measuring it. Like, for example, we're on the platform LTK, and so we can measure all of that through their platform. But there is a lot of things that aren't being measured that could probably be measured. When we first started gifting, it was very manual. We were writing down every username, the number of followers, their demographics, location, etc. And then we would track if they were sharing or not. So when we released new hats or restocked out of stock hats, we knew, okay, we can send to this person or not. That process just wasn't scalable because the amount of gifting we were doing. And then now, 2 years later, that list would probably be 1,000 people, or more, and that would just be extremely unscalable. It's too manual. But for the most part, we're pretty good at even just having things top of mind, because you can see who's sharing about you, who's talking about you, what people you just like to work with. And so when you have a new design or new silhouette coming, immediately we're like, oh, we got to get this person because we know that they wear camo, or they wear this color, and this new hat will go perfect with this. So it's like you start to remember a lot of these things, but there definitely could be improvement on some measurements.
No, but it's a pretty cool thing that you do. You don't only gift once to all creators or people, but you keep them in mind for future product releases or new models or whatever you release, and keep in mind what they like, what they wear, to send them the right gift. So that's a good strategy right there as well.
Yeah, and we actually have a number of people that we work with very frequently. As soon as we get a new hat, new collection, we send to them just because they're fans of the brand, they promote us, and we just have good relationships with these people. So it is really cool just to be able to start building those relationships, especially when they're new relationships outside of Jake and I's connections when we first started. It's just purely Huga House connections, and like we're all on this mission together.
Have you thought about doing something similar, or probably you already done it, doing it, but I don't know. That's why I'm asking. With your customers, like you personalize the experience in one way or the other for people you give, products to. What about your customers? For example, some companies send personalized notes, sometimes even handwritten notes, depending on what they bought with a different message. Do you guys do anything in that regard?
Yeah, we do some of that. When we first started, Jake and I were handwriting every a thank you note, every single order. And that was fun. It was a really nice touch. I still love when I see startups doing that, because obviously we were there at at one point, and every order you just appreciate so much the support. Um, so we were handwriting all orders for the first 6 months or so, and then it was just too much.
Yeah.
We would be handwriting notes for hours, and it just decided we can't do this. Our hand's gonna fall off. This isn't this isn't the best
Yeah, sometimes it could be,
scalable thing.
yeah, for sure. But some companies do it manually for all clients. I don't think so, right? But there are
Yeah.
tools that automate that process. They use robots for, but the 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 original purpose is lost because it's like being, uh, you know, thanking someone like from the bottom of your heart as you grow is not the same as using a robot to write a handwritten.
Mhm.
It's not really handwritten after all. But still, there could be ways like, VIP customers, those who bought way the average, like beyond the average number of orders, 5 orders, 3 orders, I don't know, whatever that be, thanking them for buying, I don't know how many times. Or it could be other ways of showing gratitude to those people. I'm just throwing ideas of what I see with other brands. Some companies even do the opposite. Do you know the company Battle Box?
Yeah.
So John Roman, the CEO, was here a few episodes ago, and he was sharing that a company that size, what they do is to this day, they have a CX department, and what other companies, or most companies, I would say, solve with let's say win back email flow, they do manually as well. So basically, what they do is they call, clients who didn't buy in the last, I don't know, 100 years. 100 years, that would be too long. 100 days. So they contact them, um, you know, uh, saying hi and whatever speech they have, not only to try to sell them something that's not the main reason, but to find out what's going on with them and about their experience with the products, how they felt, and gather insights. So that's another move that a company that size does, and it's something good that it's at least it's useful for them. Yeah, just wanted to bring that up, not only for you, for the audience listening as well. We all want to stand out as brands and say, what can we do differently? Besides having great product, great marketing, great content, what can we do to improve the customer journey and the experience? So this is something else that these companies do.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we're always open to learning and seeing what other people are doing, and I think part of our success has been due to just listening to our customers, even down to, like, our product design. People say, "Hey, you should do this, you should do that." And, yeah, it's just making things personalized, I think, is definitely valuable.
You guys, how do you, if I may ask, how do you listen to your customers? Do you call them? Do you have a post-purchase survey when they buy? What do you guys do?
We do a couple things. So, the first thing that we started that I've seen in some of my work in the past is as simple as replying to Instagram DMs. You get a lot of DMs of all sorts of questions, comments, and we make a point to reply to every single one. Sometimes it could be overwhelming, but it's always worth it because that person now feels heard, one, but then they feel like they start to have a relationship with an actual brand. So this goes back to me saying, we want to reduce the feel of, everything being so transactional. Like, for example, if I post something and tag, I'm not going to name any names, but tag a major company, clothing company, let's say, there's a strong chance there'll be no interaction in your social tag, or if you DM them, "Hey, what's the status with my order?" You probably won't get a reply, and that's just what we're trying to do a little different to have that personal touch. We try to reply to everything. And then also in our email flow, so when someone signs up for our newsletter, two things happen. Of course, you get a discount code, but then we send out a second message that comes from me. So me and Jake actually. So when you sign up for the flow, if you reply to that email, we actually see all the responses. So it's not just like a junk inbox that those replies are going to. We actually can reply to everything there and we read everything coming in.
Right, that's great. One other thing that I wanted to touch base on is the profitability fact. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know or I think that you guys are bootstrapped and profitable, and it's not that common, believe it or not, these days, and even more being a young company. So, what do you think that was the key to achieving profitability so early on?
So coming from a startup, I was very familiar on how crucial margins were. So before we launched publicly, I was very thorough in our margins, in our spending, and the money we needed to come in to reach profitability. So we didn't completely start clueless, which is nice. Uh, but but I think our strengths and our networks, Jake and I's coming together, was definitely an advantage. I mean, we knew we're like, okay, the two of us have a lot to offer, and if we piece this all together, let's see what happens. Yeah, so we are bootstrapped. We started with a total of around $10,000 combined, and then neither of us have needed to put in any additional capital. So we've been very fortunate with that. Now we did achieve profitability just after a few months, but it's a grind. It's definitely not easy. So I think sometimes the word profit sounds so sexy, but it takes a lot to get there and a lot of challenges. It hasn't been very easy, but it's been very fulfilling because when you have some of those roadblocks come up and you figure out how to get through it, you just realize you could take on so much. So yeah, we're really proud of where we're at right now.
That's amazing. Yeah, profitability is key. Many brands sacrifice it to grow, and many brands, believe it or not, don't know their numbers. It's not easy knowing, the company numbers. It's easy to say so, but it's not easy to really know how much you can afford to pay for a customer DLTV. Unless you use the right tools to measure all those things that you can get those in a blink of an eye, is not really easy when you're starting out to how much demand could be for your product. First, getting to the point of product market fit is not easy, but once you do, it's amazing what can happen. And as you said, as you go through tough times and you can sort all of those obstacles, you feel stronger. Actually, you can feel that you can do whatever you want next. And of course, the next block road happens because there's always things going on, especially in 2024. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, for you guys, what's the main struggle in or the main challenge for you or for brands you speak with in 2024?
Yeah, that's a great question. Keeping up with trends is pretty struggling. So growing up, you learn so much about just traditional marketing, and that's all you have to do. I remember in college, if it wasn't for me freelancing and going into a startup route, I wouldn't have learned as much as I have. So yeah, school and initially right out of school, at least at this time, I was really only learning about billboards, TV ads, newspaper, magazine ads. And if you do those things, generally you'll probably be in a good position. But, now we're in such a tech heavy world. There's so many social media apps, different media platforms are changing. Like when I first got into Facebook at the time, Facebook Ads Manager, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It's a completely different platform in just that period. So you have to keep up with like platforms, but also trends within the platform. So what type of content do people engage with? Just 2 years ago, you can get away with just a still image ad or organic post, where now people prefer short form, and now you see TikTok is actually pushing out long form content. So it's just so much, and it could be so overwhelming, and you have to just really sit down and focus on, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it really well. So I think a lot of brands too could be either so overwhelming you break down and do nothing, or it's so much that you try to become an expert on everything, and then you really end up just being mediocre on everything. So we've really been focusing on just a few channels, and okay, here's our few channels, and let's become experts, absolutely crush it, understand it, and try to figure out the direction these platforms are going, and then we can open up additional channels.
What are the main channels for you guys?
Instagram has been our biggest one. I mean, it's just been so consistent. And our TikTok, our own page has just been okay. We don't engagement wise, it does solid for the amount of following we have. But what's interesting is the people who share is where we get a lot of. So we have a lot of content creators on the platform, where we were breaking down the numbers. We're getting like 30 tags a day, and for us was really, really exciting to see. So essentially 30 people are posting about us every single day just on TikTok
Without asking, like organically,
organically.
right? That's nice.
Yeah, so we're getting just a ton of traction through TikTok. And ever since we've been on TikTok Shop, where those creators can add our products and then earn a commission. So technically it is organically on our side, but they do get that commission
Yeah.
through TikTok Shop. So it's really a win-win for the creator and us. But between that and then Instagram, those have been our two channels. And then we've slowly started to get more into Pinterest.
And how's that working out for you guys?
It's okay. That's a channel we definitely haven't perfected or become experts in, but it's a massive platform. I think it's still underutilized by a lot of brands. I think because it is kind of hard to figure out, but we're taking the approach of becoming like a blog, a fashion blog, where it's not salesy. People can kind of come and look for outfit inspiration. What colors do they want to wear? Just value type adding content. And so that's the approach we're taking. We're seeing if that will get us more views, more pins, more shares, etc.
Nice. I'm not on Pinterest a lot, but is that common to see like a blog on Pinterest or sort of?
Well, not like I guess not, maybe blog's not the right word. We're still using images, but it's becoming like I guess a visual blog. So if you go on there, you'll see outfits. You'll still see our hat, but depending on the seasons, and season colors,
Outfit
it
ideas,
might be
for outfits and all, yeah, inspired for
exactly.
yeah. Okay, great. That's amazing. And so we talking about content. Do you guys, what's your process for producing the content? What's the type of content you produce the most? Is it mainly short form? Is it long form as much or more than short form? How does that work?
Yeah, for the most part, actually, it's still just static images. So this goes back to Jake and I's strengths. So Jake is an incredible photographer. He has a huge background in wildlife and landscape photography. And so he is actually the one who does all of our photography. So if you go on our social channels, our website, product images, Jake actually does all of that. At least for now. As we continue to grow, add more SKUs, his workload is just increasing and increasing. He can't focus that much on photography, but we're fortunate enough to utilize his own work in all of our channels, which is also fun and I think makes it a little unique. Uh, and so he just has a really creative eye. So when you see some of our shots, it's done a little differently because he has a background in something completely different, wildlife and landscape, and then switching to fashion. So some of our photography, at least we believe, just have kind of a different spin than your standard product shots, outfit shots, etc. So yeah, for a majority is just static photos, just because we think we do a really good job there. And then we've been trying to get deeper into some of the behind the scenes type content, founder content, so we can show what it's like building a company, especially at the growth rate that we've seen. And we're doing really cool things. People are really excited and passionate about sports. So if we can share more of the behind the scenes on that stuff of, what a deal structure looks like, or what it's like to actually hang out with so and so. We're trying to show more of that, and you'll see more of that stuff in the next 6 months that we're excited to share. But the founder led behind the scenes type content is what we enjoy doing too.
Nice. What about retention, customer retention? What do you guys do to, encourage people to come back for more?
I think for the most part, your standard stuff. We have SMS, email type strategies, discount type strategies, but we try to just create new things often. So if someone was a customer at some point, there's a good chance they may be a customer again. Even if maybe they didn't like the product the first time around, we can now say, okay, this is at least the style of hat you like. So maybe let's introduce you to a different color or a different logo. So we have text-based logos or graphic logos. So we could try to, retarget them with ads, or maybe they follow us on social. Maybe you would like this one better, or introduce a new silhouette. Maybe you would like this one better. Because if they've engaged with us at least at one point, it's easier to get them back, I guess. So just through some of our standard stuff, things have been going pretty well to keep people around. And then I also think just keeping content fresh, storytelling, keeping things relational instead of transactional as much as we can, I think has been going really well for us.
It's mainly through the offer, right? Creating new things for them, new product category, introducing new products for new product categories or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like, for example, we launched with our high profile hat, and that silhouette has crushed it. It's really the hat that kind of started to put us on the map. And then by listening and talking to our customers, we realized, some people don't prefer it to be sitting that high. Everybody's head shape is differently. And so a high profile hat just looks different on someone. So with those comments saying, maybe this one's too high, we introduced our second silhouette was a mid-profile hat. That's actually the one I'm wearing. So it sits slightly lower than the mid-profile hat. And for my head shape, this is the silhouette that I prefer. So, if someone showed interest in a high profile, then it maybe end up returning it, and they left a comment saying it just sits a little too high. Well, now we have a mid-profile hat. And then they're, okay, no, let me try that one.
Yeah, makes sense. What's next for Huga House?
We have a lot of fun stuff in the works. We're diving deeper into sports. Last fall was our first deep dive into sports, so we had a good amount of exposure with NFL players. And then this season, the spring season for MLB, we had a really strong push. We gifted 300 or 400 MLB athletes, and we've had a lot of exposure there. This next fall, we're going even harder into NFL, so we have some really, really fun stuff. It seems like we're gifting like almost every guy in the league. We have a couple campaigns with actual players, some really high profile players, some custom hats in the works. I can't share it too much, but some really
No
cool
worries.
stuff. And yeah, then we have a couple new silhouettes that'll come out as well. So for example, we have a performance hat that we're working on that is for all things exercise, really. So the material is going to be water resistant, sweat resistant. So anybody who's exercising can wear it. You just
Nice.
rinse it off. Um, and then with that hat, it also is a really solid golf hat. So we'll dive deeper into golf as well. So trying to find styles for different sports, dive deeper in each one of those, kind of one at a time. And then along with, introducing new silhouettes, we're also introducing additional products other than hats. So this fall, we'll introduce crew necks and sweatshirts. And then the beginning of the year, next year, we'll come out with t-shirts and then go from there.
Nice. I like it. A lot of things going on for you guys. I'm happy for you. I'm super excited to see those being, released. So this has been great. I had a lot of fun, and this was, you gave a lot of value to me and to the audience. So I really appreciate that. But before we go, I have a question for you. Do you happen to have, you know, any book that you love that you would like to, mention here for everyone listening or watching?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. I'm an avid reader. I what I consider avid reader. I typically read like 12 to 15 books a year. But my favorite, which I read 3 years ago, is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. If you're
Yes.
familiar with that one, yeah, the founder of Nike, his story, what they went through, and then just now knowing where Nike is today, how big they are, how successful they are, and Huga trying to dive deeper into sports, and then obviously Nike and their presence in sports, and Phil Knight's personal sports background and track. So it's just very inspiring, and his path just feels very aligned with my personal path as well. So all the books I've read, nothing comes close to Shoe Dog for me.
Yeah, you must relate a lot to that story. I think the only difference is that they weren't profitable when they started out, but you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just take that as a compliment, consider that. They were
Okay, thank you.
different era, different thing. Probably they were going crazy. But yeah, they leverage, the network, the in I won't tell the whole book for everyone who didn't read it because it's a great read. But this is a well-known story for many already. He was leveraging the how do you say, the trainer, the coach, right? So the
His track
technology,
coach.
yeah, and the track coach and many other people in his network, and of course, you know that was hard, dealing with the Japanese and all the travels, back then, no internet, no stuff. And he really changed the game in terms of the deal structures with players, and then it was a big move that it was a great read for me. So I definitely share your feeling.
Mm.
I definitely recommend everyone reading the book. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think if they came out with a series or a few movies about it, it would
They did
be
a movie,
so
but I
epic.
think the book is way better. The
Well,
the movie is only on the Jordans on signing Jordan. It's not
yeah,
on the journey.
that's what and it was a great movie, but yeah, it was really a very small part of the whole Nike story. So I'm like, man, if they come out with a series or just expand on that, I think it would be incredible.
100%. And by the way, I didn't like the movie at all. I mean, after reading the book, I was like, yeah, it's really cool, but it felt like, I never read Harry Potter or anything like that, but I watched the movies,
Hmm.
and people who read the books were saying, this is crap. The books are better. I felt
Yeah.
that when I watched the movie. It's not the entire story. That's fair. But even that part was like more powerful. It's different when the guy itself, himself tells a story through a book with more details than a movie from
Hmm.
Hollywood. But yeah, it's a good watch too. But the book, man, you shouldn't
Yeah,
miss it.
way better. Yeah, you can't beat it.
Amazing. Jonathan, it was a pleasure having you here. Before you go, please tell the audience where they can go to learn more about you and the company.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for having me. So our website is huegahouse.com, Huega house.com. And then my personal LinkedIn is my best outlet, Jonathan Ruley. And yeah, I'm pretty active, respond to DMs. So
You made
yeah,
that
happy to
clear. You
connect.
made that.
Yeah,
Yeah, amazing.
yes.
So, yeah, for everyone listening or watching this, unless you are already there, head on over to the DTCinsider.com, click on the episode, and you will find all the show notes with everything that Jonathan mentioned today, including the website, the handles, and everything else. Jonathan, again, it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.